Welcome to Deep Thought, adjusting to a new reality. Now, I wanted to go a little bit further what I was saying, like realizing lifelong truth, because, as I talked in it, I said, you realize something, you got to change something. Shoot. Like I use the example of somebody maybe having a job making six figures, but they realize a truth that they can't really do this and they have to move on, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna share a little something with you. Because as I've gone through life, I had to deal with certain truths and everything. Realizing the truth. Like I've said before, I used to hang in a more bourgeois environment. I used to work for the government, everything. Really had that lifestyle. But then I realized some basic truths that this wasn't really who I was. To this day, I can still deal in those environments whenever I need to. But, it's from a different perspective now. At that time, I was totally immersed. But when I realized some truths about who I was, what my mission was, what I was good at, I had to start changing some stuff. And see, once you start changing some stuff, okay, let's say hypothetically I was making $100,000. I was working for the government, so I wasn't making that much, but hypothetically I was working on some place. But if I realized the truth, I might have to cut down to something that's making $50,000, but is more in line with who I am and what my spirit really wants me to do. That's tough to adjust to the new reality, because think about it, when you shift realities, and I talked about this in the previous one, you might have to shift mates, where you live, the things that you enjoy to do. There's so many little things, because that reality leads you to something. The reality that you had, it might be a reality where you felt, you might have somebody who realizes that they need to be more vegan in their meals. They need to get rid of meat. And, because the truth of the matter is their body doesn't abide by meat too well. Some people, they don't, or if not totally, but just very limited. But the lifestyle you had, you were throwing down all those burgers and all those meats and everything. The yard bird, the turkey, everything. But it's tough. But then, for whatever reason, it could be the body, it could be like a serious health concern. You got to change up. It's tough, because all of a sudden you start looking at stuff different. You start doing stuff. Like you get some people who might drink all the time. But for them to change their reality, they might have to stop. That's a tough thing to do. Then you got to adjust to it, and that's a tough thing. Because as you leave one world and you're going into another world, it changes your very vibration. It changes who you want to deal with intimately. It changes who you want to hang out with as friends. It changes what you'll want to do for a living. Like one of the things with me was I used to go work in a government environment and, play the politic games and all of that. But as I changed up, and even though the truth with me was I was always supposed to be running my own thing, but that was a tough adjustment. You got to leave that money aside? Please. And then you dealing with a group of people who you got to have that steady job. Family members and everything. So you start moving, but then the new reality, even though it resonates with what's in your spirit, it's a truth, it's more in line with your talent, you still got to adjust to it. Yeah, you could be that type who could, you could be a type who could be an international poet or a singer or a musician. But, it's tough because it's a different type of thing. Like, you're not getting there, you're in a situation where you might get paid several $1,000s to do a show or something, and then don't get paid again for another couple months, period. Whereas when you had that other previous reality where you had a steady job, you knew you at least had money every day. So then you got to adjust to a reality where you can't spend like that. You got to adjust to that new reality. And that's tough. So how do you do that? Easy. Yeah, it's easy. It's tough, but it's easy. You gotta take it one step at a time. You know, like say, okay, so you want that job, you making all this money, but you started coming to a truth. Like you more basic with something else. You don't just leave that first job, but you gradually make a plan out. You start saving money. You do whatever. You start cutting back on some things. You know, like you might realize you might want to be a minimalist or something like that. It was like, okay, you don't need to buy all this, but you still got all this. What you do? You take it. Maybe you give some stuff away. Maybe you sell it. Maybe, I don't know, you do whatever. You start changing. You might realize you need to live in a different environment. So you say, okay, let me see what I can do to get a different type of home or something like that. And the adjustment, you have to take your time. Because sometimes people will, I'm going to tell you what happens. Sometimes people, they'll be in a certain situation, then they'll have this great call for something new. So what happens is they'll jump right into the something new. It could be a job, situation, move, relationship, anything. They'll jump into it, but they weren't ready because they still used to the old thing. And then what happens is, even though they have a natural talent for it, don't mean they're going to make it with it right away. Because you still have to grow in the new reality. And I'm going to get into that growth thing in a second. But you still have to grow in it. So the thing is, you need to still deal with the other one. And plus, you still have aspects of that old reality, that old way of being, those old belief systems still in you. They don't just go away. In fact, they double down. That's when you had those doubts, those dreams, those feelings like, well, you know what, I need to go get that. True story. Now, I'm working totally for myself now, right? But every now and then, I'll still wake up at a certain time, or like a certain day, I'll say, yeah, let me get ready for work tomorrow. Wait, I don't work for anybody. And like, seriously. Or I see a job open and say, oh, that's a good job. I can get those. Wait, I don't have to do that anymore. Just like, it's tough to get rid of. So you got to get it out gradually. And it's still, even when you get in, it might take years before you fully adjust to the new reality. Now, what I say about growth, the thing about growth, you're not going to go into some new era or anything. You might like it, but you still got to learn how to run. Like you might find out you're a great swimmer, but you ain't gonna go in and be ready to compete for the Olympics. You gotta learn how to swim. Maybe you get in there, it's like, boom, wait a minute, I like this. It gotta be gradual because you gotta learn a little thing no matter what it is. You still have to, you might have a natural talent, but you still have to grow with it. It's like a 7-footer might have a natural talent for basketball, but they still gotta learn basic skills. They might have the raw athletic ability and, of course, the height, but they still have to learn basic skills. And then they still have to get good at it. So even when you're adjusting, you're still growing. Now, of course, your first year in it'll be your growth period, but your 5th year in it, then maybe you at an expert level or a mastery level, but you still have to adjust. So growth is very important. So you have to take that in consideration. So the adjustment should be like every day. Take little steps. Take little steps. Just don't jump into it, because you have to, when you're adjusting to a new reality, you're not only learning and growing in that, but you gradually getting rid of the habits from the old one. And that could take a while. It's tough. Because even when you think you've gotten rid of it, depending on the situation happening, you could be reminded of it. That's what happens with me sometimes. That's what happened with me sometimes. You had that habit of always looking for a job or whatever, or looking for something better. Shoot, that's hard to get rid of. Now, I've been able to adjust it to a different reality where I'm looking, okay, what else can I do to make money or create business-wise? But it's still a thing. So just take your time with it and everything. Take your time and adjust to that new reality. Don't just jump into it. But take your time. You can then gradually get rid of the stuff from that old one. All right? Y'all feeling me? So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.